The Game of Thrones universe is no stranger to shocking twists. From the beheading of Ed Stark, the murder of Oberyn Martell, and the Red Wedding, just to name a few. However, there is one event that stands out as particularly brutal, one that is so violent HBO had to drastically change how it played out in the show. I'm talking, of course, about Blood and Cheese. If you thought what played out in the show was bad, what happens in the book is 10 times worse. So if you're in any way squeamish or don't want to be spoiled, click away now. Like the show, the impetus for this event is the death of Lucerys Velaryon. However, the only line of dialogue Queen Rhaenyra has in the entire episode, in which she states that she wants Aemon Targaryen, although dramatic in the show, does not happen in the book. It's actually Luke's younger brother Joffrey who, upon hearing of his brother's death, tries to take off on his dragon to enact revenge, but he's stopped by Corlys and Princess Rhaenys. In the show, he is definitely too young for this. Daemon is the mastermind of this plot. However, the book makes no mention of capturing Mysaria, the White Worm, and setting her free in exchange for information. There is mention of a quote, pale stranger, who is a special friend he trusted, and Blood will later tell us that the contact who put him in touch with Daemon was foreign, cloaked, and pale. The harlots called her Misery. As former commander of the City Watch and playboy prince of the city, Daemon was not unfamiliar with the city's worst of the worst. He gets in touch with a man named Blood. His real name and that of his partner were lost to history, thus they were remembered simply as Blood and Cheese. In the show, Daemon meets Blood, who's a loyal member of the City Watch, of which Daemon used to command. However, in the book, Blood lost his position on the City Watch due to beating a whore to death. So Blood is a kind of guy who's got nothing to lose. He leads Daemon to Cheese, who, just like in the book, says he knows Maegor's tunnels like the back of his cock. In the book, Daemon never explicitly states that he wants Aemon dead, simply a son for a son. However, there is mention that the two assassins don't even bother trying to kill King Aegon, as he'd likely be surrounded by his Kingsguard. The book does not have Blood and Cheese walking past the throne room, just that they were able to get into the heart of the castle unseen by any guard, possible due to secret passageways and Maegor's tunnels. In fact, the two don't even disguise themselves as rat catchers. Reaching the royal chambers is where things really start to differ in the books. Blood and Cheese make their way to Alicent's chambers around dusk, not in the dead of night. They know that Helena comes with the kids to say goodnight to their grandma every night before bed. In the show, Alicent is in a whole other area of the keep. Upon arriving in Alicent's chambers, they find that Alicent and one of her bedmaids are already there, and they proceed to bind and gag Alicent while Blood strangles the bedmaid to death. Then they sit and wait. It's not long before Helena arrives with her children, falling victim to Blood and Cheese's trap. Now, there are a few important differences here. In the book, Helena has 3 children, 6-year-old twins Jaehaerys and Jahara, and 2-year-old Maelor. The twins are much younger in the show, and there is no Maelor. Helena is also accompanied by a few guardsmen, which Blood quickly kills. So we already have a pretty high death count, and we haven't even gotten to the truly horrific stuff. According to the book, Helena does a pretty good job keeping her calm, all things considered, and Cheese assures her that as long as they get one of her sons, no one else will be hurt. Helena even pleads that they take her life instead. And while Helena makes the unfathomable choice of which of her children to kill, Cheese warns the queen to make her decision soon before Blood goes and her 6-year-old daughter, and I can't imagine HBO wants to go anywhere near that. With 2 sons to choose from, Helena eventually chooses Maelor, with the narrator theorizing this choice may have been because Jaehaerys was next in line to the throne, or that Maelor was simply too young to understand what's going on. With Maelor chosen, Cheese taunts the boy, saying, "You hear that, little boy? Your mama wants you dead." And instead of killing him, he kills Jaehaerys, so that Maelor and Helena will have to live the rest of their lives with the knowledge that she chose him to die. Blood then slices Jaehaerys' head in one single stroke, with the queen letting out a scream. In order to collect the rest of their payment, Blood and Cheese leave with the prince's head as proof. The book makes no mention of Helena stumbling into Alicent's chambers and finding her with Criston, since Alicent would have been tied up with her. Some of you may want to know what happens to Blood and Cheese, and for that I can only tell you what the book says. With the guards alerted to the assassination, Blood and Cheese make their escape through Maegor's tunnels and avoid capture. 2 days later, Blood is apprehended trying to leave King's Landing, and they find Jaehaerys' head hidden in one of his saddle sacks. He is subsequently tortured and gives up a few key pieces of information: that he was hired by Prince Daemon and was to bring the head to him at Harrenhal. At this point in the book, Harrenhal is under Daemon and Rhaenyra's control. 13 days of torture later, Blood dies from excessive torture. Rumors say that Alicent wanted Larys to learn Blood's real name so that she could kill any and all of his family. Cheese and the White Worm evade capture, at least for the time being, with King Aegon so furious that he had every rat catcher in the city hung, with Otto adding 100 cats to the Red Keep to take their place. Helena not only lost a child, but now has to live with the psychological torture of knowing she chose Maelor to die. Her mental health quickly deteriorates and gets so poor that she does not eat, bathe, nor can stand looking at her son. Alicent goes on to raise Maelor herself, while Aegon and his wife no longer sleep in the same bed. To quell his grief and anger, Aegon turns to drink, and nothing would ever be the same for him and his family. I know many House of the Dragon fans were wondering how they would pull this scene off, and this is where I turn it over to you. Did the writers do it justice, or would you have preferred something else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I also come out with weekly breakdowns for every episode in which I go deep into the lore of the show, so be sure to subscribe and check those videos out. Thanks for watching, and for more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember,
a son for a son, he said.